Hey lambs, in this Florida Man Friday, we're talking about a man who didn't call 911 for nearly 2 hours while he sat there and watched his toddler dying. Welcome everyone, welcome new lambs, welcome old lambs to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide, the Florida Man edition. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kai, and please go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're on right now so you don't miss an episode. Before we begin, I want to say that this episode and all my episodes are sponsored by my lambs in Patreon, patreon.com/Love and Murder if you want bonuses and if you want to be a supporter of Love and Murder podcast. Now let's get into this Florida Man Friday. On March 5th, 2024, at about 5:25 p.m., police responded to a home on Kansas Avenue in Lakeland, Florida, on a call of an unresponsive child. When first responders arrived at the scene, they said that they found 23-month-old Ezekiel Cotto St. Fleur lying on the bathroom floor, not breathing and with no pulse. Of course, they performed life-saving measures until emergency services arrived and took over, and Ezekiel was transported to Lakeland Regional Health Medical Center for treatment. However, because of the severity of his injuries, he was then transported to Tampa General Hospital, where he was admitted into the ICU in critical condition. However, and unfortunately, on March 8th, Ezekiel died due to his injuries. While all this is going on, police themselves are trying to find out what happened. And when they interviewed the mother's boyfriend, 20-year-old Bobby Frank Curry Jr., who is not the child's biological father, he said that he was babysitting. I have to say allegedly because the case is still ongoing. He said that he was babysitting while his girlfriend, the boy's mother, was at work. He said the mother and him were dating for about 4 months and he moved in February. He also told them that he was giving Ezekiel a bath at about 2 or 3 p.m. because the boy had peed his bed during a nap. And when Ezekiel got out of the bathroom, he said 2 of the puppies in the house came into the bathroom and jumped on him, on the baby, causing him to fall backwards and hit his head on the bathtub and the bathroom floor. Now, 2 things I want to point out. Number 1, you knew this man for 4 months and you just had him move into your house. 4 months? 4 months? And then on top of that, you left your baby with someone you didn't know? Don't tell me love at first sight. When you have a child, all that bullshit goes out the window because your child comes first. So no matter how you feel about a person that is a stranger, you have to think about your child's safety first and get to know this stranger before you bring this person around your child. I can't believe she moved this person in such a short time and left the baby with him. The second thing I want to bring up is he said the puppy jumped on the baby and the puppy weighs about 15 to 20 pounds. I can see how that can push a toddler back. And being that they just started learning walking, I can see how it's easy to lose their balance. He could have definitely bashed his head on the bathtub and the bathroom floor. So I can see that. So let's continue on. Bobby said that after that happened, Ezekiel, quote, tensed up, but he was breathing when he laid him down in the bed. So, I was going to say, the toddler gets hurt and you put him to lay down to go to sleep. But then again, if you have no idea about children, this is something that you might do. I don't know. That I can't judge. Side note, this is not something that you're supposed to do. If your child or anybody you know bashes their head, they could have a concussion. The first thing that you don't do is let them go to sleep. So you need to make sure they stay awake and you need to watch them. And I think you have to do that for a full 24 hours or something like that. Don't quote me on the time frame because I'm not a medical professional, but I know definitely you can quote me on this. You do not let them go to sleep. That's not what you do because they may not wake up. So Bobby continues with the police interrogation. He says that, he put the baby down to sleep and he said a few minutes later at around 3:15, he went to check on Ezekiel and saw that the baby was not breathing. He then put the child back in the bathroom and began giving chest compressions. Why would you bring him back to the bathroom? That part doesn't even make sense. Why wouldn't you just start doing CPR right where the child is? Why would you waste precious seconds by taking him back to okay, that part I don't get. He said while he was doing the chest compressions, at one point Ezekiel started gasping for air. So he was like, okay, he's good. But he never called 911. The baby bashed his head on the bathtub and on the bathroom floor. He didn't call 911. He said the toddler tensed up, but was breathing. He didn't call 911. He saw that the toddler wasn't breathing at 3:15. He didn't call 911. He started doing CPR and the toddler allegedly gasped for breath. He didn't call 911. Like, what the fuck? When do you think it's time to call 911? So instead, at 3:20, what he did do instead of calling 911 was he messaged the child's mother through Instagram DM to let her know that Ezekiel was suffering from severe physical difficulties. Instagram, the woman's at work. Do you think the first thing she's looking at is Instagram? That's what 911, okay. Anyways, then he asked her in an Instagram message if it was possible for a child to go into cardiac arrest. Yes. Google that. That's what you Google. Don't call 911. Google this or DM the child's mother while she's at work. Hey, do you think your baby could have had a heart attack? So number one, give her a heart attack while she's at work. And number two, sit there and just wait for her to respond. What? So between 3:15 and 5:25, Bobby and Ezekiel's mother sat there exchanging 67 messages on Instagram about the baby's condition. And then 3:15 and 5:25. And then that's when Ezekiel's mother told him to call 911. I have to say, the first thing you mentioned to me is cardiac arrest and my baby. I don't want to hear anymore. Call 911. Screw this job. I'm on my way home. There wouldn't be 67 messages for the next 2 hours. So this is what he's telling the police in the interrogation. The police look at the DMs. They see one of the DMs does say, quote, "Is it possible for a child to go into cardiac arrest?" And in putting everything together, investigators said that the injuries that the child sustained and the timeline that Bobby gave them were not consistent with the actual injuries that the doctor saw. Quote, "We spoke to the medical doctors who treated Ezekiel at Lakeland Regional Health and Tampa General Hospital. They conversed with the state attorney's office and the medical professionals that Ezekiel was without oxygen for at least 45 minutes and suffered a brain bleed. The medical professionals also told investigators that Bobby's account of how the child got the injuries was not consistent with their finding or the severity of the injuries. Instead, they said that these injuries look like they came from physical abuse. And when a medical examiner did the autopsy, they determined that Ezekiel's cause of death was blunt force injuries to the front and top of the head, and the manner of death was homicide. Quote, "There's absolutely no reason. I get that he's probably overwhelmed. There's at least 2 puppies in the house. He's only 20 years old. I get all that. But common sense will tell you, and just being a human being will tell you, if another human is in distress, you pick up the phone." Lakeland Police Department Chief Sam Taylor said that he just thinks that Bobby was inexperienced in dealing with children and got frustrated with the baby. Quote, "I will tell you, I suspect that Curry was overwhelmed. He was probably unused to babysitting a 23-month-old. I believe that he was frustrated." The chief also said that Bobby waited for more than 2 hours before calling 911 to get medical attention for Ezekiel. It's unconscionable and unfathomable for almost 2.5 hours to go by from the first signs Ezekiel was injured until Mr. Curry decided to notify 911. Once the medical examiner reported the death as homicide, Bobby was arrested on March 15, 2024, and charged with 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of aggravated child abuse. Quote, I believe that he was frustrated and he either used something or pushed the child, did something to the child to cause injuries to the front or top portion to the extent that he had some fatal injuries to the top of his head. Whether he used an instrument or took his face and pushed it into something, we just don't know. Currently, Bobby is being held in the Polk County Jail without bond. And last I saw in the reporting, he was scheduled in court for his arraignment on April 16th. I haven't seen any updates on that, so I guess he's still waiting. So we'll have to see what happens with this. But as far as I see, I haven't seen any update to this case. So he is still in jail and just awaiting trial. What do you think about this case? The most aggravating part to me is that she left her baby with somebody that she didn't know. I can't even. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know she probably feels like crap. She's probably blaming herself and everything like that. I'm not trying to pile on to that. It's just that part is really unbelievable to me. That's really, I can't digest that. What he did was 100 times worse. Don't get me wrong. I just can't digest that part. Anyways, what did y'all think about that case? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And I know some people might tell me that I'm being too harsh in saying that about, she was young. She left her with him and you shouldn't judge her or whatever. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure she's beating her own self up right now. I just have to point out this error that she made in case anybody else is listening and they were about to have the same lapse in judgment. We only learn from either mistakes we made or mistakes other people made. So I have to point that out so that it doesn't happen again. Maybe somebody is listening right now and they just met this guy or a girl a month ago and they think this person is the perfect match for them and they're about to leave their newborn baby with this person because they just feel in their heart of hearts that this person is the one. And then they heard this episode and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe that's the wrong move. Let me not do that. So we'll all learn from mistakes, whether it's our mistakes or others' mistakes. I'm not dogpiling on this woman. I'm just trying to get others to see that this is not the way that you should do this. So I hope that makes sense. So in speaking of your comments, let's talk about the comments under another Florida Man episode, which was an episode of A Borrowed Car Turns to Murder. I think on that episode I had 2 mini episodes. The link to that episode is in the show notes below if you missed that one. One of the comments that I got was at SlyDevil35 said, I graduated high school with Matt Weldon's sister. From afar, you'd think this was the perfect all-American family. Money, look, smarts, they seemingly had it all. So sad as Matt was always a troubled kid and his sister was as smart and kind of a person as I'd ever met. Takes real mental issues to bludgeon someone to death. So the whole situation is just tragic. Thank you for that comment. And again, if you missed that episode, the link is in the show notes below. And to last week's Florida Man Friday, I had 3 mini cases for you on that one. Again, if you missed that, link is in the show notes below. And in the comments, people were going crazy with that one. Christina Bobo said, the toe-sucking bandit is still at large. Hide your kids, hide your husband, hide those toes. I understand that meth is illegal, but I don't think he should have been charged if it was in fact a bad batch. He may have saved some lives. Getting high off bad drugs should have been punishment enough. Maybe send him to a treatment facility. This will discourage others who purchase bad drugs from reporting it. Did they even go after the dealer or just made that Facebook post? I like poking fun at stupid criminals as much as the next one, but I sympathize with this guy and I wish the outcome was different. So Christina, in response to this part of your comment, yeah, they could have sent him to a treatment facility. At the same time, he did break the law purchasing drugs. They should have gone after the dealer too. I was wondering about that, but they didn't ever mention it. They might have, you never know. They might have given him a plea deal or something and gone after the dealer. He might have given up his dealer. I'm not sure. But I'm on the fence with this because he did break a law. He was taking drugs, and just because he goes to a treatment facility doesn't necessarily mean that either A, he'll stay in there, or B, that will help him indefinitely. Which, I mean, I guess jail won't help him indefinitely either, but he did break the law. So I'm kind of on the fence with that. But I do agree that they should have gone after the dealer. And then Christina continues on saying, being out on bond for 2 separate cases while on probation for stealing a firearm, then shooting yourself with a stolen firearm while out robbing houses and cars is truly diabolical work. I wonder if he's ever been struck by lightning because he has to be the unluckiest loser alive. LOL. 13 felony convictions. What happened to 3 strikes? The ball has been dropped too many times with this menace. To that I say, I completely agree. And that's what I was wondering. How are you out and you have 13 felony convictions? That crap was crazy. And if you missed that one, again, the links are in the show notes below. And that is all that I have for you in this episode. Don't forget to share this episode with your significant other. And let's go ahead and share it on your Instagram. We're sharing it with everybody we know and everybody we don't. And that is all I have for you today. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.